Hey Houston, this is Lori with Soul Sisters Digital Design. Jamie from 1% Real Estate had given me your name and information, and I wanted to go ahead and shoot this video for you before I called you to follow up because you were interested in some search engine optimization. This video is going to show you how your business is currently stacking up against your competition online, and also give you some tips and tricks that you can take to improve things. So, as Google crawls the web, it is really looking for three things: content, citations, and backlinks. So those are the things I'm going to talk about today. Now, content just refers to the words and images on your site. Google really likes to see between 1,500 and 2,000 words, kind of at a minimum on the page, to give it a good idea of what you do and where you are. The exact amount is going to depend on the competition and also the number of keywords that you want to use or that people are using to find someone such as yourself. So what's a keyword? It is really anything someone might type into Google looking for a particular service or product. So let's take a look at what a Google search might look like. So I went over to Chrome and I typed in fine art photography because that seemed to be most appropriate for what you do. You're not necessarily providing photographic services, or at least if you are, it's not readily apparent that you're doing that. And so it seemed like it was really more about the art itself. So that's what I put in. And obviously what comes up first is some images related to fine art photography, some questions, some guides and things like that, just basically informational. And then we've got expertphotography.com, and this is kind of talking about the best fine art photographers. And so that's more of a directory, if you will. So fineartphoto.com is one of the top results for fine art photography. They look like they really do weddings. I'm not sure that's the most appropriate, but we're going to look at it anyway. And then what's showing is a map pack. So these map packs are super easy for people to use. So they're becoming more and more popular, and they will really help drive business, especially if you are a service-related provider or like a physical location. Below that, we've got the photoargus.com, which is some examples of fine art photography, Art Finder, and some explanations and things like that. So I chose, we're going to look at the fineartphoto.com. Obviously, they're kind of concentrating on weddings, but they've got some good search stuff, which we're going to talk about in a second. And then Art Finder seemed really appropriate since it is fine art photography for sale. Going back to this search results page, though, I want to talk about this map pack for a second. To get in this map pack, and you want to be in the top 3 here. Really, it's going to show people that you're close to. It's really a local kind of search. Because I'm in the Gainesville area, it's showing me Gainesville type businesses, and that will do the same for wherever someone is. But the way to get in here is you got to have a Google business profile. You need to have that profile filled out as completely as possible. And you also want to have your name, address, and phone number listed in as many relevant directories on the web as possible. Now, those directories are anything like Yelp or Yellow Pages. Basically, the more times you have that happen, the name, address, phone number in the exact same format appearing in them, the more power it gives your profile. Every place you do that is considered a citation. The idea of these citations is that your brand begins to be found by Google all over the internet. And the larger that online presence is, the more Google trusts you. Now, below that is what we call the organics, and that's the stuff that we kind of already ran through. Organic just means not paid. And ideally, you want to be in the top 3 here as well. By being in the top 3 of both, you get about a 30% increase in traffic for your site. Now, back to content for a second. I've got your website pulled up here, and you've got some great pictures of your artwork. Some pictures of the pictures, and some beautiful work. I love this one, and I always love sky pictures and sunset pictures, but really fascinating, some character studies as well. But there is not a ton of text on here, but because you're a store, that's not quite as important. What is important is you want to make sure that each one of these images is optimized fully. I can't really tell that because obviously these are copyrighted. So you've got security on there where if I right click, I can't do anything with it. So that's one of the ways I just kind of check on the properties of it to make sure that you are fully optimizing. So instead, I went over to a word counter, kind of plugged in your site, and it looks like you've got about 1,029 words on there, which leaves a little bit of room to kind of get into that ideal threshold of 1,500. Now, when I'm looking at a website and analyzing it, I use a tool called Ahrefs. I go over here and I plug in your website, and what I can see from this is that you're actually not getting any traffic at all. Zero traffic right now because you're not really being found for any keywords. So let's look instead at these wedding photographer, the fine art photography and video, just to see they're getting 685 visits per month, and that's being driven from 256 keywords. And I can drill down and see what those are. Fine art photography being one of them. That term is being searched 6,900 or 6.9 thousand times per month. And they're in the third position for that, which means that because they're ranking so high for this one and it's such a high volume, that's getting them 604 visits for that keyword alone. If we look at Art Finder, we can see that they're getting 1,300 visits per month, and that's being driven from 340 keywords. And if I drill down and look at that, I can see that fine art photography, 6,900 search volume, they're in position 8, and that's getting them 198 visits from that keyword alone. So it really illustrates how important it is to target what it is that you actually do so that people can find you for those terms and utilizing the terms that people are already using. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is what we call backlinks. So all a backlink is anywhere you find one website linking to another via clickable or hyperlinked text. So these links act like an endorsement of your website from others, which Google uses again to build trust in your brand and in your business by seeing these other businesses vouch for you. So it's kind of like a popularity contest, but like where the person with the most wins, but not all links are created equal. Those that are relevant to your business, as well as those that are local or powerful, those are going to count more. So it's a weighted approach. So Ahrefs offers me a way to compare backlink profiles between competitors regardless of the number of backlinks because, again, they're not created equal. So we use a scoring system that attempts to mimic that Google algorithm. So I look at these two scores right here, which is kind of judging your backlink profile as a whole, taking into account those different factors that I was talking about. So this DR rating is really more about how powerful are the links coming into your site. And the UR is like how trustworthy are they? Ideally, you want these to be as close to each other as possible because you want that ratio to be as close to 1 as possible because you want those links coming from things that are just as powerful as they are trustworthy. So right now you're at a 1.9 on a scale of 0 to 100 and a 0.1 on the trust factor. So let's look at the other two businesses that we were looking at. So for the fine art photo, they're sitting at an 8 and a 7. So pretty close to ratio to 1, but not super high on the scale. If we look at fine art photography, or Art Finder rather, they're at a 78 as far as power goes and an 8 on a UR. And what this tells me is that this is part of a larger group. And as I look at this, artfinder.com/shop/photography, I can see that the photography section is sort of a back page of this larger Art Finder. And so that's why this power factor is so high. But those things let you see, again, it's how important it is to kind of get those good backlinks going as well. And once all of those things start to come together, the content, backlinks, and citations, that's when you begin ranking higher and higher and more customers find you. Now, I hope this information has been helpful. I'm going to shoot this over to you and would love to kind of get on the phone and and chat about it, get some feedback on it. And I can help you with more information. We can talk about what your goals are, and I can do some research to figure out exactly what might be realistic for your business and what it would take to reach those goals. Again, my name is Lori with Soul Sisters Digital Design. My number is 352-235-9803. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to our conversation. Bye-bye.